Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Motive Racing YouTube channel. Apologies for the little delay getting on stream here, but we are back and we're underway in earnest here at Misano for tonight's action here for round 5 of the GT3 Championship. It's currently Arlampa leading the way ahead of Ludo in second place. You've got Thomas there in third ahead of Robe, followed by Kodlungu completing the top 5. GT3 there in P6 out of Totally Zero, followed by Snoopy. Luca there in 9th place. Matahimovic running in P10, trying to defend from our late standing. In fact, actually, hold on. Has he got, he's actually been passed by there by Smoky Devil. So Smoky Devil with our ACC debutant here tonight into P10. Obviously a vastly experienced driver here at Motive on Project Cars too, but making his ACC debut here. And interesting to see that as we see, what's happening in the foreground here. So there's been a bit of a to-do here. Mario Louise has got out of shape and has dropped down behind this pack here. So he's lost out to Mativ, Butts Nuts, Scuderia Paul as well. Scuderia Paul's got a drive-through penalty, which he's got to serve in the next lap or so as well. That will hurt him a little bit. So not quite sure what's happened there with him, but he's actually bailed to the pits, so that's going to hurt him even more. Matimovic trying to keep onto the back of Smokey here in a battle for P10. They've also got Remster for company there, who's looking pretty racy here on the back of them, as this is a battle for currently what's 10th, 11th and 12th places here in this race. As somebody's got out of shape there. That's the number, that 33, no it's 20, is it 23, 22? Don't know, not quite sure what I just saw there. Was that? No? I'm not 100% sure what I just saw. But Arlampa just leading the race right now by nearly 2 seconds, so he's putting out a gap here over Ludo. Ludo's currently got pressure here from Thomas, who's trying to make a move here for second, but Thomas has just dropped off of Ludo a little bit over the course of this lap. Robe sticking to the back of Thomas. You've got Kodalungu in 5th ahead of GT3. The top 6 have broken away a little bit from Totally Zero and Snoopy, who are battling out over 7th and 8th places. And then Luca a couple of seconds behind them. Smokey's gapping Matahimovic, having got ahead of him. Remster now attacking the back of Matt here, as he can't quite make the move at the moment. But Matahimovic, a driver who's driving a really good season so far, very consistent over the course of this season. Currently second in the championship due to his consistency. He's been really strong since he jumped in, obviously, here at Motive this season. He's a driver who's actually commentated here in the past. Used to commentate on our touring cars and our Clio Cups as well. Yeah, he's done a lot of racing here over the seasons here at Motive, and a lot of commentating, a lot of racing. Also is the owner of Simplay Motorsport as well. But yeah, good to see Matt really getting stuck into a championship here this season. We got Archie there in the comments. It's a great start for me. Wouldn't let me press drive. No. Andy with browser on OBS since when? Since this year, basically. Yeah. Sort of switched it up and went with. I thought I'm streaming 720 because 1080 is not quite possible. They're saying that actually with this internet probably is. I should try it, but. Yeah, don't know. I just thought better have some decent audio. As Matev there getting out of shape onto the grass, and he's got big damage on the front of the car as well. Is he retiring from the race here? Matev was running in P14 before. I think that's his race done. I think he's bailing. Matev out of the race here on lap 5 in the very early stages here at Misano. Not gone the way he would have wanted it to at all. He's going to be, I think, pretty upset with that one, I'm sure. What a shame to see that. That's a very early retirement there from him. Remster still attacking on the back of Matahimovic here in this battle for P11 as well. So lots happening here out on track. Robe here still keeping on the back of Thomas as they're coming over the line here to complete lap 5. Robe trying to challenge for a podium place here. These guys not a million miles off of Ludo running in second place, but Arlampa's still continuing to extend his gap out the front. 2.5 seconds at the moment, and Arlampa's a driver who generally full tanks it, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's good to go without having to change tyres or mess about in the pit stop. So it'll be a stop and go for him when he comes in for his mandatory. Matahimovic really struggling with his damage here tonight. Dropping off of Smoky Devil at quite a rate here. He's currently providing a bit of a trolley train here for Remster and Daz Automatic, as Remster's managed to get underneath him here, and it's going to make that move surely. Matt's going to try and keep it around the inside there. Remster getting pushed a little bit wide there onto the runoff, and Matt just holding onto that one by the skin of his teeth there. Daz now attacking on the back of Remster here as well, and Daz down the inside makes the move on Remster. So Remster might be a bit annoyed about that one, especially with Matt's damage. You know, you probably say, well, you haven't really got much of a chance of keeping me behind long term. But I suppose Matt wants to fight for every position right now. He's in a position where he's got points to play for here. But Daz gets passed by Remster. Remster getting a nice cutback here, side by side here between these two, down this little straight. And Remster has the inside line, should be able to make this move for 11th place here on Daz. Here we go then, as Daz keeps it around the outside though, quite nicely there. Daz managing to keep on to 12th place there, ahead of Remster, just about. And Matt's still running ahead of both of these two in 11th place right now. I don't know how, but he's still running in 11th place at the moment. Mutt's Nuts in the meantime is running in 14th place. He's got LOL 3000 on the back of him in that little battle. Mary Louise is on the back of Dimenta as well. Chris currently attacking on Glenn here for P18 at the moment. Matev in the pits at this point. Matahimovic into the pits to get that damage fixed. So he's got to now be committed to a full tank, no fuel or no tyres strategy here by the looks of it. Well, not a no tyre strategy, but a no tyre change strategy there for Matahimovic, surely, because if you're going to change tyres at this point, you might as well not bother. You're not going to get much benefit out of it near the end of the race. But Daz Automatic still running just ahead of Remster at the moment in this battle for P11. These two still continue to go at it here. Robe is all over the back of Thomas here for further podium places. He still can't make the move here. These guys have fallen off of Ludo a little bit. Ludo now over a second clear of these two, as these two scrap it out here down this little straight here. You can see Ludo in the foreground there has put a bit of daylight between him and these two. These two are also pulling away from Kodalungu despite battling. Guido Chris still keeping Kodalungu on his toes in the battle for P5 at the moment. Totally Zero's just gapped Snoopy a little bit by over a second here, looking a little bit more comfortable in that little fight there. Remster is attacking to the inside of Daz, but he's too far back at the moment, and Daz is going to hold that one going into that right-hand bend there. Mutts Nuts and LOL 3000 there running in 13th and 14th places. There's Dimenta and Mary Louise there in 15th and 16th. And you've got a lapped car there just behind them, which is Cosmic Mike, who's come in for an early pit stop, I would imagine, and some damage repairs to boot, I would imagine. Barlamp's still out the front. He's got a bit of traffic here up ahead of him already, which is not what he'd have been expecting, I'm sure. Thomas and Robe still going at it for 3rd and 4th places. Guido Chris keeping Kodalungu on his toes there. Totally Zero and Snoopy just closing up onto the back of those as they continue to scrap it out. Luca having a bit of a lonely race there in 9th place. Has he got a bit of damage there maybe? Because I think Luca's pretty handy around this circuit, if my memory serves me correctly. So I don't know whether he's got a bit of suspension damage, because the bodywork seems to be in pretty decent nick. Smokey driving a very strong race here in his ACC debut here at Motive, currently running in P10. Daz still running ahead of Remster at the moment in this fight for 11th place. This one's been going on for a few laps now, but Daz still holding his ground. So drivers who have been into the pits already: Sean, Matt, Hypertech, PS Vids, Lexi, Erico, Odd Cosmic Mike. Not sure what happened in the opening couple of laps. Unfortunately, we weren't showing it, as we were experiencing some technical difficulties, which we managed to get on top of. But unfortunately, for the first couple of laps, we weren't streaming, so I don't actually know what happened during that time. All I know is that our Lampo had already pulled out a bit of a gap by the time we got onto them. We obviously seen Matt with his damage getting passed by Daz and Remster, and coming into the pits for an early stop. Guido Chris still all over the back of Kodalungu as well in this fight for 5th place, as Robes has dropped off at the back of Thomas here a little bit. Thomas has managed to put a little bit of daylight between himself and our South African driver here, Robe. But Guido Chris still keeping Kodalungu under pressure here at the moment. Totally Zero and Snoopy less than a second separating those at the moment as well. Daz Automatic and Remster still 2/10 apart here, 11th and 12th places. Mutts Nuts has got LOL 3000 still for company there, but Mutts Nuts has got a reasonable cushion to him at the moment to be out of any real imminent threat. Archie's got ahead of Chris up into 18th place through the final sector there, so Archie now up in position, can now try and chase up onto the back of Glenn here, who's just up ahead of him there. You can see going through turns 2 and 3. There's Cod and Guido Chris still fighting it out over 5th and 6th places. Totally Zero and Snoopy in the background there. still continuing to fight. Daz and Remster likewise. Remster still can't make that move on Daz at the moment though. He's still looking on the inside there, but the opening's still not forming for the time being. Mutsnut's still just ahead of Lol 3000 as well. Archie's now cleared Glenn as well, so Archie on a bit of a charge here. Still yet to pit as well. That's a bit strange. That's very unlike Archie. Usually he's been in it on the first lap, but I don't know whether or not he might have been into the pits and had a bit of a problem maybe, I don't know, or potentially a drive-through or a stop-go at the start of the race, which has kind of set him back a bit. Not quite sure. But very strange to see Archie having not done his pit stop yet. Usually he's in at the end of the very first lap to get it done and out of the way, regardless of what's gone on, even at the best of times. But in a race like this where it seems he's come under the caution a little bit, it's surprising to see him stood out there with that orange mark next to his name. Mary Louise enters the pits here with a bit of damage on the car as well. Maybe he's getting that fixed. Damage limitation, quite literally in that sense. Daz Automatic and Remster still going at it for 11th and 12th, but Daz has just managed to put a bit of a cushion to Remster here. Codalungu's still got Guido Christ hassling the back of him. Only 2 tenths between them at the previous sector point, so Guido Christ looking hungry for a top 5 spot here in this race at the moment. Robe's still just over a second adrift of Thomas in that battle for the podium places here. Remster looking to the inside here of Daz, but not quite close enough at the moment. There's a little bit wide there, does Remster as well, which would just cost him a bit of time. Lol 3000's closing back up onto the rear of the Mutsnuts here as well. Keep an eye on this one because this one is it's been closed for a little while. It's a difficult track to overtake as Misano though. It's quite a twisty circuit, and the straights aren't that long, so there's not really much of a chance to get a toe. And obviously, it's not very straight line speed orientated either, so you want to set your car up high downforce, which makes it harder for the cars to pick up that slipstream and really make the most of any sort of top end. So it just makes it a really difficult recipe for overtaking, similar to the Hungaro Ring actually. It's an interesting circuit, but yeah, it rewards it when you do manage to pull off the overtake, but it's not easy at all. We've still got Robe on the back of Thomas here in the battle for the podium places. Robe's just closed up onto the river a little bit. Or was he just backing off a little bit to try and give himself a bit of momentum here? As number 88, that's Dimented, has picked up a drive-through penalty for track limits. So he's going to have to come in the next 3 laps, get that one sorted out. Back to Thomas and Robe though, as they're coming into the final couple of corners here on lap 11 of the race. Race leader Arlamp is coming through the final turn here, about to complete lap 11. But here come Thomas and Robe, still going at it here for 3rd place. Oh, Thomas getting it all wrong there, and that's the pressure that Robe would have been trying to put on him there. So Robe now will be seeing that and will be thinking, I'm starting to get to him a little bit here. Here he goes then, looking to the outside here. Is Robe going to be able to make this move into the braking zone? Thomas is surely going to cover this one off here. And Thomas there for the time being hugs that inside line. Robe can't get it around him for the time being, but Robe is going to definitely be sensing his opportunity now in the background. Guido Chris still attacking on Codalunga as well. Only a tenth between them as they cross the start-finish line. So there is currently a lot of pressure coming on in this top 5. Thomas coming under the cosh here from Robe, and Guido Christ really piling it on Codalunga at the moment. Thomas still running in the podium places here by the skin of his teeth. Robe looking to try and get a run here down the straight, as we can see Thomas here going to defend. Robe's going to pull out that slipstream now. He's going to have to be forced to the outside, is he surely? No, he's going to look to the inside gear because the door's open. Thomas though knows he's got that one covered as he comes into the corner. Guido Christ still tucking in behind Codalunga at the moment as well. No changes here between any of these drivers at this point. Daz is, has got the nuts on the back of him here. So I think Daz and Remster must have come together here, because they've now got the nuts in between them. I'm not quite sure what's gone on here. Lol 3000 is on the back of this train as well. So Daz and Remster, I think, have had a bit of a to-do here, and the nuts is now splitting them as things stand. I'm not 100% sure what happened there with Daz and Remster, but I'm assuming they've tripped over each other somewhere out there. And yeah, interesting stuff here, because you know you've got the nuts attacking on Daz for P11. these guys now 8.5 seconds behind Smokey. Oh, it's Smokey as we just switched to him there, getting it all wrong, getting massively sideways as he was lapping a Mercedes there. Tunde, I think, is it? No, Hypertech. Sorry, do apologise. Tunde's not in a Mercedes. He's not even here tonight. But yeah, Smokey there. I think maybe distracted by the lap car there a little bit. Still got a bit of a gap to Daz Mutz, Remster and Lol 3000 though, so he's still okay in that top 10 spot at the moment, but that's not what he would have wanted at all there for sure for Smokey Devil, as he's just running ahead of the lap car. Hypertech there. Hypertech I think has got Leximate just behind him. Sorry, Mary Louise is behind him, sorry. So yeah, Hypertech and Mary Louise currently running just behind, obviously, the car who's put a lap on them, which is Smokey Devil. Daz still running in P11 right now. Mutz Nuts, Remster and Lol 3000 though in hot pursuit at this point. Oh, and Kodalungu's got a drive-through penalty. So Kodalungu there has gone a little bit over the top on the track limits there. Obviously early stages yet. Just shows how easy it is to do around this circuit. And he's coming straight into the pits to get that sorted out. But that's going to be a bit of a ball ache there for him. And obviously that's going to now ruin his chances. He was well in with a shout of a top 5 in the early stage of this race. But that's all gone a bit Pete Tong so far for him. That's still running in P11. Mutz there pulling into the pits. So going for the undercut, one would imagine here. But Kodalungu out of the pits now, so where's that going to put him in all of this? Obviously, last week I think he got a drive through at Kota as well, so no stranger to the track limits. This season is Cod, pushing those limits a little bit too much. Easily done. It's a competitive league and you've got to really go for it and push those limits, and unfortunately for him he's just overstepped them a little bit here. Dad's still running in P10. He's got Remster all over the back of him right now, though. You can see the drive-through penalty there for number 22. That is error code there. So error code there's also got done for track limits. That's another driver here. They all seem to be racking up those penalties left, right, and centre right now. As we see a lap car pulling over there for Daz Remster and Lol 3000. Cod there running 7 seconds down the road from these in 13th place. So he's obviously coming in for that drive-through penalty. It'd be interesting to see him get in the top 10. I think that's more than viable target for him. Toady Zero running in P5 still with Snoopy within a second of him at the moment. Robe's currently within, well within half a second of Thomas here as these guys battle out over the podium places. Massive says my wheel died. Go Lampy and Luke. Oh no, that is unfortunate there. Obviously for Matev, we saw him veering off into the wall and then going straight on at the end of that back straight in the early stages. I think it was about lap 3 or 4, and that would obviously explain it. Hopefully the wheel is recoverable. Hopefully it's revivable, Matev, and we'll see you back out on track next week, mate. But that is a massive shame, obviously, for your race and for your hopes here tonight. Remster's still here on the back of Daz. They've gapped Lol 3000 a little bit here, so it's now a 2-man battle for P10. Thomas still with Robe Haas in the back of him as they're coming through the final couple of corners here. Thomas a little bit wide, Robe not quite as wide as him as they come over the line here to complete lap 15. And Lolfrausen just closed up onto the back of Remster and Daz a little bit more since they pulled out the gap to him a lap or so ago. Mutsnut's currently on the back of Sean here in about a P16 as well. Obviously, both of these have been into the pits. Sean's the highest runner of those who have pitted, followed by Mutz, followed by Matt. But Matt was only in about P11 before he came into the pit, so I don't think any of these guys are really going to be figuring in the fight up the front. Most of the early pit stoppers here are basically in that position because they got damage at the start, so a lot of them aren't really in a position to do much. As Daz is into the pits here, end of lap 15. We've got Robe still on the back of Thomas here, in the battle for pit for the final podium place. Obviously with Daz coming into the pits, it's now going to allow Lolfrausen to just close up onto the back of Remster a little bit here as well. Mutsnut still keeping the pressure on Sean as they're coming over the line here to complete lap 16. Got Mary Louise who's pressuring Hypertech here for peak 22 as well. Mary Louise here, sorry, actually Mary Louise has gone around the outside of Hypertech there. He goes wide though, and Hypertech gets back ahead of him there on the exit of the corner. These two having a good little scrap here for P22. Good stuff here from these guys. Daz has come out, where has he come out? He's come out behind Matt on the track, not far behind him, only a 3.5 seconds it says here. Thomas and Robe still going at it here for third place as they're coming out onto the still back straight once again. Robe getting a decent exit here. He's going to surely look to the outside here. Thomas covering that inside as he knows he's going to leave it open once again because he knows that Robe's too far back to send one there. Thomas has the confidence in his own ability on the brakes there. He knows that one's not going to happen. And Robe has to go back to the drawing board and think again of another plan that he can come up with here. Oh, Smokey's got a drive through for track limits again. More track limit penalties being handed out here tonight at Misano. Bit of a track limit penalty fest here tonight, I tell you. Robe still keeping Thomas on his toes as he has done since the start of this race, but still not really in a position to force him into a mistake or make any moves at this point. Totally Zero still running in P5 ahead of Snoopy in that particular fight. We've got a drive-through penalty there for Smokey again. Oh, sorry, we already know about that. Sorry. False alarm. Yeah, no, we're already fully aware of that one. Fear not. That one's already been dealt with a long time. Well, not a long time ago, a lap ago. Keeping an eye on a battle between Sean and Mutz because these guys are only 0.4 of a second apart. Mutz has got a bit of damage on the front of the car, which is going to be affecting a bit of his front end. Maybe his turn in, possibly a bit of an understeery sort of car he's going to be getting there. But he's still attacking on the back of Sean nonetheless here. Getting a good run here out onto the back straight, and Mutt's now looking to the inside. Sean Nichols in the space there. Mutt's going to try and outbrake him here, coming to the end of the straight, but Sean's going to try and hold it around the outside. Mutt's still on the inside, managing to squeeze through there, and he's up into P14 there. Nice move there from the Mutt's. Despite his damage on his car, he's still pulling it off beautifully there as the Mutt's. Impressive manoeuvre there from him. Smokey into the pits to do his drive through. Lamper, the race leader, is into the pits, so that now releases Ludo into the lead. That means Thomas and Robe are temporarily fighting over second and third places, but that will be the third and fourth, obviously a net third and fourth, because they'll come out behind Lamper unless they're on a different strategy. We're not sure. Interestingly though, Lamper coming in at the halfway point, it gives me, admittedly could be false, but gives me some hope that we might be seeing Lamper doing a half tank strategy. I'm not sure how long was he in the box for. That's going to be crucial. I didn't actually I didn't check how long he was parked in the box for, so it's difficult to say at the moment. But if he's on a half tank, I'll tell you what, I think Lamper might be on a half tank tyre change strategy, and if he is, he will come out quite a way behind Ludo, Thomas and Robe, and obviously he'll probably come out behind the guys who are in close proximity, Totally Zero, Snoopy and Guido. That will mean he'll have to make some overtakes in the final stint, which will mean he'll have to work for it. He will have a lot more pace than them in the final stint, there's no doubt about that, on fresh tyres, but could be interesting. Totally Zero also coming in at the halfway point. Is he potentially putting fresh tyres on as well? Is he having to put fuel in the car? Archie also coming in. Well, I reckon those who have stayed out, Ludo, Thomas, Snoopy, Robe, Guido, Luca, I reckon these drivers are all going to the end. They're all on a full tank, and their tyres should be able to get them to the end here. So it will be interesting to see what the crossover is in the strategies here. Remster also into the pits here at the end of lap 19. Thomas and Snoopy going at it here for second and third places right now. But Snoopy moving ahead of Robe, so have Thomas and Robe had a bit of a to-do here, which has kind of just brought Snoopy into this, because Snoopy's now in between them. Or has Robe just made a small mistake which has allowed Snoopy in here? Nonetheless, Snoopy now splitting Thomas and Robe, who were battling throughout the whole of the first stint here. And Guido Chris waiting in the wings here behind these. Ludo, though, has got a bit of a gap here over these. He's currently 12 seconds ahead. So I reckon it is going to be between Lamper and Ludo for the win here tonight. Matev in the comments saying his support is for Lamper and Luca. Luca currently running in P6 at the moment. I'd say might maybe be in contention for a podium. Only 6 seconds off of Snoopy at the moment. Or about 7 seconds off at the back of Snoopy. But hasn't been setting the world alight in terms of in relation to the ones to the guys at the front. Snoopy into the pits here at lap 20 nonetheless. Thomas is just over a second off at the back of Robe at the moment in the battle for second place. Glenn's into the pits here at lap 20 as well. Ericode is in the pits and he's been there for some time, and I don't think, by the looks of it, he's going to be re-emerging anytime soon. But Thomas still running in P2. He's got a train of cars here. Robe, Guido and Luca on the back of him. This could be a battle for the podium places come the end of the race as well. So there's high stakes here. Keeping an eye on the timing boards, because it looks like we've got Sean on the back of the Mutt's still in 12th and 13th. Oh, and Daz has also got PS Vids on him as well, so PS Vids getting close to the back of Daz. Obviously PS Vids, I'm assuming, had some kind of problem in the first part of the race, which meant he had to come in for an early pit stop and dust damage. But he's currently making decent progress here. He's all over the back of Daz in this fight for P15. Keep our eyes on this fight at the front though. Thomas, Robe, Guido. We're still all running close here. See Lol 3000 into the pits here at the end of lap 21. But Thomas, Robe, Guido well clear of Luca running in P5 still in this race. Daz has still got PS Fids keeping him on his toes, but PS Fids not really putting Daz under much pressure at the moment. Looks like Daz is just keeping PS Fids at arm's length at the moment, not really forcing the issue too much in this one. Lol 3000 still in the box. Thomas, Robe, Guido still continuing to battle close to each other at the moment, but no position changes between these at the moment. And Robe's been all on the back of Thomas since the early stages. I think that his best chance of getting ahead of Thomas is going to be in the pits. It's going to be about getting the undercut or the overcut, just coming in on a different lap from him. It's just the way fate is. You can just picture them both coming in at the same time. But oh, sorry, Guido, I don't want to report you, mate. Sorry, my bad. Sorry. I've no reason to grass you up. Sometimes grassing people up is the best option because it's either grass them up or slit their throat. But I have no reason to do that to Guido, Chris. So in this instance, Guido, you're okay. I have no beef with you. But Thomas still running ahead of Robe and Guido right now. But Thomas still got Robe on the back of. Robe getting closer to the back of Thomas here into the braking zone. He's still got that buffer at the moment. Senna says, good evening, mate. Was planning on racing tonight, but didn't have any time due to me being asked to engineer for some mates. Oh, are you doing are you doing some race engineer stuff on F1? I've seen that now. People are properly going serious on F1, like esports and stuff. I've seen people jumping in a party chat and literally like being the info guy for the mates. I've seen this. It's proper ham, but it's cool. Oh, is Guido there making the move on Robe up into P3. That's job done there for Guido Christ. But yeah, Chevy couldn't be on track here tonight, Senna, but obviously, for those of you who don't know, Senna did actually make his debut last week on ACC here at Motive at COTA and put in a really strong performance. Had the pace actually to finish in the top 5, but got damaged and got a bit unlucky just with strategy and stuff, and ended up, I think it was P9 or P10, which was still a really strong performance considering we started with a full grid of 29 drivers. And you know, we typically are getting full grids every week, and Senna against a grid full of seasoned veterans here on ACC really did put on a fantastic performance. It was truly impressive here from Senna. But Guido Christ on the back of Thomas, and obviously Senna, for those of you who aren't aware, is one of our F1 drivers. He's the championship leader for the Formula 1 League on a Friday night, and last season's runner-up, looking to try and go one better. As we can see, Guido Christ to the inside of Thomas there to the end of the straight. There was a gap forming on the inside, but Thomas managed to keep ahead of him there, keeping it around the outside, went later on the brakes, and just clung on to that one. Good little fight here between these two, and Guido Christ having to continue to wait a little bit longer here. Having got ahead of Robe, he's fighting for this position here in second. Trying to make it 2 moves in the space of a lap. Having been patient over the last few laps, he's now running out of patience, it seems. But he's still sitting behind Thomas at the moment. Robe looking to try and pounce and come back at Thomas if he possibly can. Guido Christ, if he possibly can. Thomas is the driver who's looking in his mirrors at both of these two, chasing after him. Senna here says, yeah, it's very nice to always have someone that does the thinking. I never have an engineer, but sometimes I do it for others. Yeah, it sounds like you are the brains, mate. You are the strategist. But it could probably help you. I mean, if it takes the pressure off of you, if you don't have to do the thinking, you can focus on the driving. So it probably doesn't, you know, boost your performance having somebody to do the thinking, because then you can just focus on extracting the maximum out of the car. Because when you've got an eye on other things like the bigger picture, like strategy and you know, stuff like that, it can sometimes mean that you're not fully focused on nailing every apex and getting the best exit out of the corner, as it just means you know, it depletes your resources. But yeah, I can see why obviously having an engineer is beneficial on F1. Because on the F1 game, obviously you've got safety cars playing a major factor, VSCs, all sorts of stuff, tyre wear, obviously a big issue as well. Tyre wear not really as much of a major factor on ACC, because the most pit stops you're going to need to do in a 1 hour race is a one stop mandatory stop, but a tyre change isn't even necessary. It can sometimes be the quickest way, but some tracks it's quicker to do a tyre change, some tracks it isn't. Depends also on track temperature as well. Oh, as Thomas goes a bit wide, did Giedekrist give a bit of a tap there? I think he might have given him a bit of contact there. Maybe a bit of a questionable move there. I don't know if there was contact. If there was, then Thomas might have a word or two about that one, but Giedekrist nonetheless up into second place here in this race. Obviously it's a net third, because our Lamper's your net leader, or is he? Because he came in for a long pit stop due to having to put fuel and tyres in. So maybe he's going to be coming out a long way behind, and he's going to have to really get the hammer down in the final stint. Nonetheless, Matev says, show us what Luca and Lamper are doing. Currently, Luca running in P5, having a bit of a lonely race here, to be honest with you, Matev. Lamper is doing the fastest laps of the race on his fresh tyres. He's currently chasing after Totally Zero. Totally Zero is the highest runner of those who've pitted, but Totally Zero came in, I think, for a stop-go, didn't change tyres, didn't put fuel in. Our Lamper on his fresh tyres is going to be absolutely tearing hell for leather in the final few laps of this race. And on a track like this, which I would imagine would be reasonably high tyre deg, albeit low track temperatures, so that will obviously play into the hands of those who aren't changing tyres. But our Lamper should have the pace over the front runners in the closing stages. But we're expecting Ludo to come out some way ahead of our Lamper here when he comes in and makes his mandatory stop. Not sure when he's going to make it. Obviously, the sooner he makes it, the further out ahead he'll come. But it's going to be our Lamper who's going to have that momentum in the final few laps of this race. But can he make that tyre advantage work to his advantage here? Can he make the advantage work as an advantage? What a statement. Sometimes I listen to myself speak and think, what am I talking about? I just realised that Monaco is up next in the F1. Hopefully I'll survive, says Senna. God, yeah. Do you know what? I'm getting confused, because obviously I commentate on Purple Sector now on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and because obviously the Purple Sector calendar, it's about 2 or 3 races ahead of Motive at the moment. So I commentate on a race at Purple Sector, and I think to myself, we've already done that one, and I remember, obviously no, it was Purple Sector, not Motive. But yeah, we did that at Purple Sector last week on Tuesday or Thursday, can't remember. And actually, you know what, it went quite well, I won't lie. It was actually, the driving standards were actually really good. There wasn't too much chaos. It was actually I was actually very impressed. So hopefully we can follow their example and really put on a good show this Friday. But yeah, basically, mate, if you can nail qualifying, you're sorted. So just make sure that you sweat it in the time trials and cruise to a lights to flag victory. Of course, it's not that simple, is it really? Come on, let's be real. But, you know, in theory. Kodalungu's done his pit stop and is now off and away. Obviously, he had to do an early drive-through penalty. He's come out in actually P9 here, so despite his drive-through earlier on, he's done a good job since then. He's got his head down and he's isn't in a bad position at all here. So Kodalungu making the best of what could have been a not so great situation in the early stages. Giedekrist in the meantime has gapped Thomas by over a second here since getting ahead of him. Obviously the other driver who was with them, Robe, is running in P7. Totally Zero, interestingly, has got the jump on Robe. Robe is running on the tyres that he started the race on. I'm expecting that our Lamper will be pulling away from Robe considerably here, because our Lamper, we believe, is on fresher tyres than the rest of them. And he is reeling in Totally Zero pretty quickly here. The gap, 3 seconds. About a second a lap, our Lamper's closing in on Totally Zero. But how is this all going to pan out? Because our Lamper did have quite a healthy lead over Ludo in the first stint, but with that taken into account, we've obviously got to remember that our Lamper was carrying a lot less fuel than Ludo was, and in this final stint they're going to be carrying the same amount of fuel. But the advantage that our Lamper's going to have on this stint is that he's got fresher tyres. Is that going to pay dividends though? I mean, that's what we're going to find out. Senna says, I think quali pace should be alright. Currently about 1 second off of the world record. Not too shabby. Yeah, that will do. That might get you the win at Motive, who knows? If a certain Jelmo was here, I think the answer would be negative, but obviously he's not he doesn't race with us anymore. PS Vids in the meantime has got Sean on the back of him in about a P12. These guys have gapped Daz by a fair bit now. Daz is running 4 seconds behind them in 14th place, so seems to have just dropped off a pace a little bit here. Tony Zero's gap to Arlampa now 2 seconds, so Arlampa continuing to gain at about a second a lap here over Tony Zero. I can beat Jelram around some tracks, says Senna. To be fair, I haven't seen Jelram in a long time, so I can't really compare you two, but I know your improvement over the past season has been absolutely insane. I mean, I'll tell you what I think the turning point for you was. I don't know if you feel like this as well. I feel like Silverstone last season, when Tezza and Bennett, I think, were battling for the win. Was it Tezza and Bennett, or was it? It might have been Tezza and Chris. I can't remember who it was, but Tezza and somebody else were battling out the front, and I remember you running in third place, a few seconds behind them, not quite on their pace, not really in a position to challenge. I remember afterwards on Discord you were saying about how you just weren't quite able to match them and how you were sort of going to work on that. And then from then on, every race after that, you were either a match or you were slightly quicker than Tezza for the rest of that season. And obviously, by that point, he had quite a big gap in the championship standings. He was sort of running away with it by that point. But for the rest of that season, you had the edge over Tezza in terms of pace. I don't know if that was the turning point, where that was like a kind of where the penny dropped, but something just clicked after that, and you were just the man to beat after that race. I don't know whether that was the point for you, but from my memory, that was where things sort of, where the momentum shift in terms of who was the better driver or who was the quicker driver in terms of outright pace. Tezza still had insane consistency, and that was what won him last season's championship. But I reckon if Tezza was racing, I reckon Tezza got out at the right time. Tezza did a Nico Rosberg. No offence, Tezza, if you're watching, by the way. I don't know if Senna's going to share this clip with you, but it was a bit. To be fair, I think this season, I think he would struggle to withstand your pace and to go toe-to-toe with you. Just my opinion. I think your improvement over the last season or so has been pretty serious. Alright, Robe's got a drive-through for track limits, so he's going to have to come in over the next 3 laps and get that done. So Robe there in a spot of bother here. That's got a bit of a disaster there for Robe, I have to say. Arlampa in the meantime still pressuring the back of Totally Zero in his battle for P5. PS Vids all over the back of Matimovic, looking down the inside here. We see a bit of contact there between them. Matimovic trying to hold it around the outside, and it's got the inside for the penultimate corner. PS Vids trying to get a bit of a cut back here, coming down towards the final corner, but Matimovic has got that one covered off for the time being. All's well for Matt. PS Vids though looking to the outside here as they come down the start-finish straight. Is he going to have a chance to go around the outside here? Here he goes, looking to go all the way around him here. And Matimovic just manages to cling on to that one for the time being. PS Vids looking to go for a cutback though. Into turn 4 we go. He's down the inside there, PS Vids. Matimovic has to give him the space. PS Vids there managing to get the move done, but Matt's still there. Still not giving this one up easily. PS Vids just swooping around there and managing to get the move completed there. Nice move. Matt flashed the lights there. I'd say that was aggressive but fair. Maybe it was a, I don't know if it was an indignant flash or whether it was an impressive flash, but Sean there making a move down the inside of Matt as well and knocking Matt while he's down. Matt going backwards a couple of places here, down to 13th place. Our driver who's currently second in the championship this season due to his incredible consistency, but losing a couple of places on that previous lap just there. Senna says, I agree with you. That was the moment I realised I was never going to becoming champion. I was going to be the two things I usually was, too nice for people on track and also too conservative on the throttle. Well, you certainly changed that around. I don't know, obviously your aggressive approach has worked wonders, because since then, I mean, you've taken, is it 3 out of 5 wins this season, or I'm not sure, but I know you've been on fire this season so far, and you've taken a fair few poles as well. Ludo, the race leader's into the pits. Now we're going to find out what the gap is between Ludo and Arlampa. Arlampa also did manage to hunt down and overtake a Totally Zero. We knew that was going to happen eventually because he was gaining hand over fist, and obviously on fresher tyres as well would have had that advantage. Arlampa currently running in P5, but Ludo is off and away. I'll tell you what, Ludo's miles ahead of Arlampa. Has he stopped in his box yet? Is his box right at the end of the pit lane? No, he's not. He's been in his box. Ludo's out of the pits now. Where is Arlampa? Arlampa's coming through the final couple of corners here. So Ludo coming out of the pits. Here he comes then, almost off the limiter, not quite. Luca got into the pits here at the end of lap 31. Ludo stood on the limiter. Where's Arlampa? He's just coming into the final corner now. Ludo off the limiter now. Here he goes then, into turn 2. Where is Arlampa though? Arlampa's just coming over the start-finish line. Oh, the gap's at least 10 seconds, if not a little bit more. So I think Ludo should be good for this win here. Let's keep an eye on the split times here. What is the gap between these two? We're going to find out in a second. Luca in the pits. He was the driver who was obviously ahead of Arlampa. He's now behind him. Ludo there coming towards the end of the back straight. Where's Arlampa? He's just coming out onto the back straight now. So keep an eye on this gap here between Ludo and Arlampa. I reckon it's over 10 seconds though. 13 seconds it is between these two. We're probably going to have 5 or 6 laps left in this race. I don't think Arlampa's going to have enough to catch him. He's going to have faster tyres, there's no doubt, but he's not going to be able to overhaul 13 seconds in 5 laps. Surely not. He might have 6 or maybe 7 laps. He might just have 7 laps in this race if he's lucky. But even so, that would be a hell of a stretch. I reckon Ludo's got this race in the bag. Arlampa would have to go at least 2 seconds and up quicker than him to win this race. Matev said in the comments, go Lampy. He's got a lot of work to do here as Arlampa here, Matev. And Ludo's extended the gap over the course of this lap as well. So Arlampa not making the gains he needs to here. Let's keep an eye on this gap as they come out of the final corner. There's Ludo going into turn 2. Arlampa there just coming over the start-finish line. Yeah, gap's nearly 14 seconds, so Arlampa's not gaining at all. I think Ludo's got this win in the bag here. Totally Zero currently running in 5th place. Is that going to be a podium place when Guido and Thomas come in? I don't think it is. I reckon Arlampa could have a fight here for second in this race with Guido and Thomas. It's going to be quite close, I reckon, between these. Guido's got a 2.5 second gap over Thomas, so should be good maybe for a podium here. We just don't know at this point. It's hard to tell before they come in for their pit stops. The Mutts Nuts in the meantime has picked up a drive-through penalty as he's now bringing it into the pits. Drive through there for number 14. Lexi Mate has overstepped the track limits a little bit. Goes wide there. Going out of the final corner as well. Mutts Nuts has done that drive through penalty. Guido Christ has got just under 3 seconds of a gap here over Thomas at the moment. Just over 3 seconds now. Just extended that gap through the first sector here. Ludo, your net race leader, will come out surely ahead of these two when they come in to make their mandatories. They've got to do it obviously before the end of the race, as you would expect when it's a mandatory. Arlampa's gained about half a second on Ludo on this last lap. Half a second is not even nearly enough here for him to get the win. Mutts Nuts has picked up a stop-go penalty now, and so is Smokey. So these guys are going a bit ham here with the track limits. Senna says he's got 4 wins out of 6 races so far, 4 poles as well. So yeah, that's pretty imperious form from yourself, mate. I mean, you have been the force to be reckoned with so far this season in the F1 League. There's no doubt about it. It's your championship to lose already at this point. No, a long way to go. But if you keep up this sort of form, you are going to romp home to this one. But you can't sort of afford to be complacent, and you know that. You know, we both know that. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You've just got to be consistent. But if you continue driving like you are, then it won't be too difficult. I know Justin's going to give you a good fight, but yeah, just keep up the good work, keep scoring good points, outscoring whenever you can. I mean, the performance at Imola just spoke volumes, coming from 18th, finishing 3rd, finishing ahead of your championship rival and teammate. You know, it's just insane from that position. Which motive F1 GP are you most looking forward to, says Senna? Silverstone. I always look forward to Silverstone. I love commentating on it. Partly because I know all the corner names, partly because I really like the circuit, partly because it's the British Grand Prix, it's my home Grand Prix. There's just something special about commentating on a race at Silverstone. Even on ACC, on any game, I love commentating on Silverstone. I don't know why, I just get this buzz about it. It's just something it fills me with a bit of adrenaline every time I commentate on a race around Silverstone. I can't quite explain it. It's just, yeah, it just gives me a bit of a buzz. Dad's still got Remster on the back of him in battle for 13th and 14th places here. Mutz Nutsell coming in and serving that stop-go penalty here at the end of lap 35. Gidichrist gap to Thomas just over 3 seconds at this point. Remster still keeping Daz on his toes here in this fight for P13. Can Remster force the issue here and make this move on Daz here in the closing stages? Daz defends to the inside. Remster now looking to try and go around the long way. Remster goes for the cut back to the inside as tries to catch Daz napping. Daz is too alert and alive to that one and holds on to the position there on the inside. Nothing Remster can do about that one. Remster goes a little bit wide. That might allow the is that a front runner there? Who is that that's napping them or overtaking them? Somebody's got in between them there. And it's a Porsche there that's got in between them. It's the Porsche of Gidichrist, the race leader, who's obviously still yet to pit. So Gidichrist 3.4 ahead of Thomas, but obviously Gidichrist is not going to be the race winner. Ludo's the net race leader. Once Guido comes in, Guido and Thomas I think will be 2nd and 3rd once they make their pit stops though. I think they're far enough ahead of Totally Zero. It might be close. Oh, it's not going to be any more. Thomas has got a drive through for track limits. And you know what? Because he's only got one more chance to do his pit stop, he's going to get a penalty. He's not going to be able to do that drive through, or it'll be either or, the drive through or the pit stop. He can't do both. So one way or another, he's going to get a penalty here because he can't do both of them. He hasn't got time to do both of them. Daz in the meantime still got Remster hassling the back of him with 13th and 14th places, but Thomas's drive-through penalty there could have given Totally Zero a potential podium here. It almost certainly is going to give him a podium as long as he doesn't get a drive-through in the final couple of laps here. Senna says, all juicy. I'm usually not the best around Silverstone, but I've been working hard to improve and it seems to have worked as of now, hoping to win there for you then. Yeah. Be nice to see you put in a good performance there, especially as knowing what I know now, what I'd always kind of assumed when about how it was kind of the turning point, that race, the difficulties at that track last season galvanised the rest of your season. Interesting to have that confirmed, but what I'd already kind of sussed out. Our Lamper on the back of Snoopy here. Our Lamper's dropped back catastrophically in the closing stages of this race. He was running one position behind Ludo, but I think he's dropped it somewhere. He's now running behind Snoopy, so what could have been for our Lamper here obviously was in a position where he could have been on the podium, but things unfortunately for him have transpired a little bit differently. GT3 coming in for his mandatory pit stop, and Thomas in for his drive-through here, or for his pit stop. Which one's he going to do? I mean, either way, he's going to get a penalty for not doing one of them. Ludo, in the meantime, coming over the line to start the final lap of the race. Our race leader. Here we go. Thomas doing that drive-through. Ludo onto the final lap. GT3 is going to come out of the pits in second. Or it will be second when Thomas gets his penalty for not doing his drive-through. As our Lamper here attacking on the back of Snoopy, looking down the inside. Can he make this move here? Snoopy trying to hold it around the outside, but our Lamper's going to get the better run here through this sequence. Our Lamper swoops around the outside of the penultimate corner there and gets the job done up into P6. Nice move there from him. Good little tussle between those two. Good clean racing. And our Lamper does gain one more position here at the end. Difficult sort of second stint to this race for him, but the promise that he showed in the first part of the race not really backed up in the end, but nonetheless a nice little move there that he's pulled on this what was the penultimate lap, and we're now on the final lap here. And it's showing up on the screen that Thomas has... Oh, okay, so he's done his drive-through, he hasn't done his pit stop, so he will get a penalty for not doing that mandatory pit stop. Totally Zero in the meantime has closed right up onto the back of these after they made their pit stops. I wasn't expecting it to be quite as close here, but if Totally Zero can get ahead of GT3, then he might inherit P2, obviously when Thomas gets his penalty. In the meantime, though, we've got to watch Ludo here because he is currently cruising to a race win here. He won a couple of weeks ago at Silverstone with a very, very simple, easy win, and he's going to back it up here again at Misano. Round 5 of the season here goes to Ludo. A flash of lights from him. Well done to Ludo. He was... it looked like maybe our Lamper might have had the pace in the first part of the race, but Ludo, on his full tank strategy, had the ace up his sleeve and has delivered the goods here at Misano tonight. Thomas coming into the final couple of corners here. It's going to be second, I think, on the track, but he will get a penalty for not doing his mandatory pit stop because he had no choice but to do the drive-through instead. That will teach him for leaving it till the last minute. But Thomas comes over, loses out there. GT3 will take second. Totally Zero will finish in third place. Lucas going to come over the line to finish this one in fourth. In the end, a quiet race from him. Not really on the pace of the top drivers. No one was on the pace of Ludo tonight. Our Lamper brings it home in P6, or P5 it will be after Thomas's penalty. Snoopy over in P6. Lol 3000 Archie and Merida will finish the race a lap down in 15th, 17th, 16th and 17th places. Snoopy, Robe, Cod, PS Vids all over the line. 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th for them. Dimenta comes over in 18th place. Matahimovic there over in P11. Sean over to take 12th place here in the end. Daz automatically will be next over the line here in 13th place as he crosses over. Remster just behind him there in P14. Mutsnuts, I think, is in the pits. He's not going to finish the race, and he's the last driver still yet to hit the checkered flag. So that is that then for tonight here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to update the championship standings, so give me about 5 minutes and I'll have them on the screen. Do bear with. But Ludo, Thomas and GT3, top 3 on the track. Obviously Ludo, GT3 and Totally Zero, your top 3 once the penalties will be taken into account for Thomas. But yeah, stand by guys, and we'll be back with the championship standings in about 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere. There we go then, guys. That is the updated championship standings. Just for those of you who are watching this back afterwards, I'll have cut out that big sort of interval in between. But it's Ludo extends his gap in the championship with his second win of the season and his fourth podium of the season from 5 races. Every race this season so far he's finishing in the top 5. Incredible consistency, and extends his gap over Matijevic. Matijevic still in second in the championship, despite not the greatest of showings from him tonight. Thomas third, Archie down to 4th with Snoopy 5th place in the standings. Obviously you can see the top 20 on the screen, and for those of you who are interested in seeing the rest, you'll be able to see the rest of the standings on the Discord as well. But thanks everybody for joining us as always, and apologies for the delay for those of you who are waiting live for the standings to be updated. But yeah, for those of you who are watching it afterwards, again, you won't know what I'm talking about because I'll have cut that bit out. But thanks again. We'll see you all soon. Take it easy, everybody, and good night.